Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan.
What's going on, guys? It's Brandon again, and today I am bringing you a new War Thunder video. And as you heard from the intro, today is December 7th, and as many of you may not know, December 7th, 1941, which was an infamous day of when Japan attacked Pearl Harbor. Now, it's been a while since I've did like a little historic video, and I've decided, since it's December 7th and this only happens, once a year, I'm going to go ahead and talk about it, of course. And before I jump into the commentary of the historic part of December 7th, if you guys don't know what gameplay this is in the video, this is actually one of the missions from War Thunder, and it's a really fun mission. It's the first mission of the attack on Pearl Harbor, so that's why I did this mission, and it's kind of hard to get gameplay of the Pearl Harbor map, so that's why I'm doing the mission. So I hope you guys enjoy the gameplay, but let's go ahead and jump right into the history. Now, in the early morning hours of December 7th, 1941, around 3 a.m., Jap subs were released to assist in the attack on Pearl. Now, the USS Condor, a minesweeper, spotted a periscope in the water. Now, US subs are not allowed into the harbor, so this was the first red flag, and the Condor let out an alert saying that there are subs in the area. But when the search commenced, no subs could be found. Now, around 6 a.m., the Japanese fleet started turning their carriers into the wind and started to launch their first wave of planes. Now, the first wave consisted of 183 planes, and there were 40 torpedo planes, 49 high-altitude bombers, 51 dive bombers, and 43 fighters. Now, the objective of the first wave was to basically decimate the Pacific Fleet. Now, the battleships were south of Ford Island along Battleship Row, and that was their main target. Now, the secondary target was to target the airfields and decimate them, basically so the Japanese could have air superiority and face little opposition. Now, the USS Enterprise, it always seems like the USS Enterprise is always coming into these things, as you might have recalled from my Midway video. But the USS Enterprise was coming back home from a supply mission to Wake Island, and as a standard operating procedure, of course, they were launching SBDs. Now, they launched 18 SBD Dauntlesses, and there were basically two squadrons. There was a scout squadron and there was a dive bomber squadron. And this is kind of where this mission correlates with the history. Now, moving on, at around 6:45 a.m., another sub was encountered at the entrance of Pearl Harbor. Now, the USS Ward ended up shooting the submarine and sunk it. And this was basically the first actions at Pearl Harbor that took place. Now, radar is one of the new inventions in 1941 that the military started to use. And there was 5 active stations set up on Hawaii. And of these stations, one of them started picking up a group of incoming unidentified objects. Now, this information was relayed to the information center, and the new officer on duty ended up thinking that this flock of unidentified objects was a group of B-17s coming in from California that were supposed to arrive in the early hours. Or it could possibly have been the SBDs from the USS Enterprise that were coming in the scouting mission. Now, at around 7:15 a.m., the second wave of Japanese planes launched. There was 167 planes that left the flight decks, consisting of 78 dive bombers, 54 high-altitude bombers, and 35 fighters. Now, at this time, there was a total of 350 Japanese planes that filled the air. Now, the dive bombers and the fighters split, and the fighters went for sea-based aircraft that were used for scouting, such as Catalinas and stuff along those lines. and the dive bombers and the torpedo bombers went to Battleship Row to get destroyers, battleships, and cruisers. Now, the seaplanes and fighters that were targeted on the airfield were very easy targets. This is due to the fact that the fighters were bunched up and the seaplanes were bunched up on the runway due to theories that sabotage might happen on the airfields, and that was their biggest concern. They never thought a full-scale invasion, an air raid would happen, so this is why they bunched them up. Now, after the success of the first wave, the Japanese Imperial Strike Force received the message Tora Tora Tora, meaning they had a full surprise on the Pacific Fleet at Pearl Harbor.
On Pearl Harbor is a possibility, and we are taking immediate practical steps to minimize the damage inflicted and to ensure that the attacking force will pay. Husband E. Kimmel, Commander-in-Chief, U.S. Fleet. First call to colors had been sounded. About 0757, explosions were heard on the end of Ford Island, abreast dry dock number 1. When the second explosion took place, it was realized that an air raid was in progress. The commanding officer, C.M. Cook, Jr., USS Pennsylvania, report of Pearl Harbor attack.
Now, many people thought the explosions were just the military using live ammunition until the message air raid Pearl Harbor, no drill went out. That is when everyone learned that there was actually an attack going on at Pearl Harbor. Now, I can go into detail about all the ground forces that were lost, all of the battleships, cruisers, destroyers that were lost, but it's really all self-explanatory. A large number of the battleships were lost, and the cruisers, and half of the death toll at Pearl Harbor was accounted for the sinking of the Arizona. It lost a large number of men. And also, the B-17s returning from California were just easy targets, and some of them were lost, some of them had to crash land. There was one account of one of them landing on a golf course near Honolulu. So all that is really self-explanatory, and I can go into all that all day, but I'm really not going to. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video of Pearl Harbor, the history of Pearl Harbor. It's December 7th, 1941 that this all happened, and it's December 7th today, so it's a really important point in history when the U.S. got into the war in the Pacific. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoyed the history, and I just hope you enjoyed it. So anyway, guys, my name is Brandon, and hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, have a nice day.